think so.
What letter is this?
Q.
Q. This is indeed a
Hey,
Q.
Froggy.
All right. Me and Scott are in the studio.
Good afternoon.
We got some new Q posts we're going to be going over. We'll get into that right away here so we can get that covered for those of you that are here for that. All right, and we're also recording for the Patriot Hour, so this will go up right after. All right, let me... last one we went over. I wanted to show you that one, Scott, by the way. We got a one later yesterday evening. It was a phone with the EO pin, typically, that we see. Will POTUS be at the CD tomorrow? We figured Camp David. 1 year Delta, matters of national security. The clock is ticking. Follow the watch. All right, we're going to jump up here to 2621.
Kavanaugh watch. Okay, geez, that's a big one.
Okay, so that was the last one, 2652. All right, I'll jump into this one. 2653, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's on the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
Right?
she's the old justice.
Why was she selected? Who appointed her? Remember her story? Reference 230-page book called Sex Bias in the U.S. Code, published 1977 by the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Highlights: called for sex integration of prisons and reformators. Right here.
I don't know. Well, I'm not a grammar major.
So that conditions of imprisonment. So while they're reforming, calling for sex integration, when they're reforming these people, so does that mean blending them? Conditions of imprisonment, security, and housing could be equal, she explained, if the grand design of such institutions is to prepare inmates for return to the community as persons equipped to benefit from and contribute to civil society, then perpetuation of single-sex institutions should be rejected. So she's talking about housing females and males together.
Oh, man.
Called for these sex integration Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts because they perpetuate stereotyped sex roles, page 145. So they're breaking down her book on this, putting in for code. Insisted on sex integrating college fraternity and sorority chapters and replacing them with college social societies, page 169.
She's trying to break down the culture of home, the way we were all raised.
Yeah, cast constitutional doubt on the legality of Mother's and Father's Day as separate holidays. Called for reducing the age of consent for sexual acts to people who are less than 12. Asserted that laws against bigamist persons cohabiting more than one woman and woman cohabiting with a bigamist are unconstitutional. Objected to laws against prostitution because prostitution is a consensual act between adults, is arguably within zero zone of privacy protected by recent constitutional decisions. Ginsburg wrote the Mann Act, which punishes those who engage in interstate sex traffic of women and girls, is offensive. Such acts should be considered within the zone of privacy. Demanded that we firmly reject draft for combat exemption for women, stating women must be subject to the draft if men are. But she added the need for affirmative action and for transition measures is particularly strong in the uniform services.
This is her book?
Yeah, I guess so. Or it's it says right here, not a book, but a 230-page book, okay, called Sex Bias in the U.S. Code. Yes, she wrote a book breaking down our U.S. Code, which governs D.C. So...
Look at that one. Wanted he, she, him, her, his, and hers to be dropped down the memory hole. They must be replaced by he, she, her, him, and hers, his, and federal statutes must use the bad grammar of plural constructions to avoid third-person singular pronouns. I didn't realize how, I don't know what word I'm trying to use to describe her. I can't believe anybody would be this whacked out.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Condemn the Supreme Court's ruling in Harris v. McRae and claim that taxpayer-funded abortion should be a constitutional right.
A constitutional right.
Who are the doctors currently treating RBG? What other political, former, current, or senior political heads are they affiliated with? What off-market drugs are being provided to RBG in order to sustain minimum daily function? What is a real medical diagnosis of RBG? Who is managing her care? Who's really managing her care? The clock is ticking. Panic in D.C.
Well, I can go along with, I can understand why they're probably trying to slow her, she's probably all drugged up to just kind of make her a zombie. So she's not going to step down, and maybe they need to change some kind of laws. I'm sure that's going to have to take a supermajority and then something done in the Supreme Court, but I don't believe she's in any condition to move forward. If she's that drugged up just to maintain a slow-functioning life to basically preserve her seat, they don't want her dying or resigning while Trump is in office. I guess the good news is we still have a chance. We, or the country, has a chance to get him reelected, so that will put up another 4 years. So I'm almost positive she can't make it 6 more years. But hell, man, stranger things have happened.
Well, that's what I think we've even gotten hints that she'll be the next to go. I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead and read this one. What is it?
Well, it's a link, but let me read that real. Scaramucci model, ? Public opinion, optics do not matter. Attempts can be very dangerous to those who are targeted. Q. So we'll click on this link and find out. Wake up to the matters of Mike Allen each day. Trump says appointing acting cabinet heads grants more flexibility. Man, he hasn't aged a bit. President Trump told reporters outside the White House on Sunday that he's in no hurry to replacing his acting cabinet secretaries with former replacements, saying, I have acting and my actings are doing really great. I sort of like acting. It gives me more flexibility. Do you understand that? ? Why it matters, Trump's Attorney General, Secretaries of Defense, and Interior, EPA head, and UN ambassador are all working in acting capacities despite being Senate-confirmed positions. The appointment of Matthew Whitaker as acting Attorney General in particular came under fire as potentially unconstitutional, even from conservative legal scholars like John Yo. And then the Washington Post reported this week that Patrick Shanahan's position as acting defense secretary could also be constitutionally murky. Furthermore, Trump, who campaigned on draining the swamp, faced criticism for his acting secretary's lobbying ties.
Again, people that all around him, not necessarily him. And were they planted there? All right, 2655. We're trying to get through these folks and we can talk a little bit about them. 2655, how many authorization FISA umbrella surveillance warrants targeting those who illegally targeted blank in the kill box are currently active? How many authorized FISA umbrella surveillance warrants targeting those who are illegally targeted are still currently active? Upstream collection can be very revealing. What that means is you get the janitor in the building, and from the move two, you can almost get everyone in the building. So upstream collection. When you no longer control the levers of power, do 5I, the 5 Eyes surveillance system. Allies buckle and cooperate in order to preserve and maintain their future of their country, most likely. Germany losing stranglehold on your European Union. The future will not repeat the past, and the clock is ticking. All right, Scott, last one here, 2655.
Anon's new. This is just a link here. Anon's new ? President Trump, I may declare a national emergency dependent on what's going to happen in the next few days. Jeez.
Okay, looks like. Let me grab this because we won't be able to hear it.
I won't go too far into it, but I kind of wonder if this is the 10 days of darkness. We're still, I just heard the other day that it's,
I went over that, and now that we're at day 13 of the government, but still, they're saying there was an invasion on the border on New Year's Eve night, and there was no coverage. So is it a media blackout of actual fact, like we were almost invaded? They said there was a big caravan that showed up. All right,
let's see if we can get that play. It's only 38 seconds long, I think, right? I may declare a national emergency dependent on what's going to happen on the next few days.
Here it is.
I may declare a national emergency dependent on what's going to happen over the next few days. We have a meeting. Vice President Pence and a group will be going to a certain location that you know where that is, and they'll be having another meeting. I don't expect to have anything happen at that meeting, but I think we'll have, nor does the Vice President, but I think we're going to have some very serious talks come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have to have border security. If we don't have border security, we're going to be crime-ridden, and it's going to get worse and worse.
I agree.
So one of our followers is saying there was 300 of them stormed, 300 illegals stormed, not illegals, well, I guess they would be illegal, but 300 people stormed the border. I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to really talk about it. Let's see here. You're resubmitting. So the I guess from that long-winded post from Ruth B. Ginsburg, that's something that I would say that everybody needs to look up and read and really read it and reread it and then share it. If this is what she has been promoting, and by the way, who nominated her? Obviously, Bill Clinton nominated her. Not surprising that some of these things kind of go along with what we've talked about in the past with the Clinton cabal.
Yes.
And children from Haiti and some of the disgusting. I mean, why in the hell would you want to lower the age of consensual sex to 12? Makes no sense. Trying to say prostitution is unconstitutional and it's because it's between two consenting. That opens the door for a lot of debate, a couple of those topics, but it seems like everything she's talking about right here is dividing and reducing the family morals, separating how we were raised with good ethics and morals from our good, solid family backgrounds and what she does. It sounds like she's trying to minimize that and reduce the impact of a proper upbringing.
Yeah. Well, I would. Yeah.
Takes a village
This
type.
was done in 1977. Yeah, it was like her opinion on
everything immoral.
Yes, it was like trying, and there you go. It's kind of like if I were the devil type of stuff. If you're removing a lot of social or people's morals that they would have and try to keep up front. So, what would you say on to take this into some of the other questions they were talking about Camp David, that video we just watched with Trump? What would you say the whole issue with the border? Like, we have this group of people that say, yeah, if we just get rid of the guns, Scott, and then when they did it in Chicago and it doesn't work, they'll go on to other, it's the neighboring state's fault. And if we could do it now, you just need to get them all. And we know the criminals and the police forces are not turning theirs in. It's just going to be the law abider. On the border, they want us to go down a fairy tale land of if they could just get the guns out of this area, it would be better. Then we've done it. It doesn't work. Then they want to keep expanding their ideas, and just none of it makes sense. But the border, it's like we physically got, if you want to keep it about the people illegally crossing.
How does this tie in? You think, is that the question?
It's like we physically need a border wall, but people say it's maybe racist to have the wall. So based off words, it's like, well, you're already saying Trump's racist, and we don't see that, but yet it's just a word. So,
it's an easy word to throw out there.
Can't a wall physically stop maybe the fentanyl flow, the human trafficking that comes in and out, and then also the illegal activity of people crossing? That's like, to me, in third rank, the drug flow, the human trafficking is more. But we know that could possibly, it's like a lock on our door. It's like a front, a lock on our nation's door. It's a lock on your house if you look at it that way. But They're not willing to go down like, let's just try it. Like, no.
That's what I was going to kind of ask.
It's physical to do it, but instead they use words, and we're supposed to use those words and then not do something.
So will it stop all of it? No. Will it minimize? Absolutely. So just on those two statements, I mean, that's got to be a fact. Will it minimize or slow down drugs? I mean, there's a list of it. Will it slow down or minimize the bringing in of illegal drugs? Yes. Will it physically slow down or minimize bringing in illegal citizens? Yes. Will it slow down or minimize the trafficking of children? Absolutely. I mean, so when you look at it like that, why not do it? I mean, $5 billion is I mean, it's 180 some million a year, if not more.
It's like if you take the budget that they got from taxpayers, which is taxpayers' money, and if you put it into a perspective of that's somebody, the government's getting that, but it's like if you earn that per year, that amount that they're asking for, the $5 billion is like
$7.
Yeah.
I'll send you
50
$15
or something
I'll pay for
out of
you
that fund. It's like for a new lock, you don't want to spend $15.
Well, I'm with you on this, and the reason why there's a certain group of people against it for two reasons. One, it absolutely will work, and it will minimize, so then they're going to look like clowns. And then we know this
exposes them.
We know this because for the last 30 years, every party, every candidate at least campaigned on it. So we do know that is one reason why they don't want it to happen, because they didn't want Trump's candidacy to be successul.
Yes.
Right. So, oh my gosh, he did something that we all said.
This is going to happen. It's going to happen on our watch.
Exactly. Kind of like nominating and getting a African American. I call him black because everybody in this country is American, so I don't fall into that racist crap. So, but it was just like when they nominated Obama. If they won, then look what we did as a party. We got the first black. But if they failed, as a party, they could say, well, the white Republicans weren't ready. So it was a win-win for them. And this is a win-win for Trump. All he's got to do is get it done because he's gotten every other promise done. I mean, all he's doing is fulfilling. So
now, as he was on the campaign trail and telling his supporters and the people that were listening, we need to build a wall. It's going to be a nice, big, concrete, solid. And he just uses words. Now people are like, since it's looking like it's going to get done, the new spin with the media is like, Trump, you promised your supporters a solid concrete wall. Now you're talking steel slotted. That's not what you promised them.
Right.
And, and the microphone goes in his face, and it's like
preschool type stuff.
No, think about that. If you were running and you knew the consensus was we need a border security, we need a wall, and you just start rambling on when you're early on, but now you get down and you talk to the experts of that area. Trump, I've been on the wall down here for 35 years patrolling it. What we need in this area would be slotted metal, and so we can see. And okay, that makes sense. You're the expert. I'm willing to go with that.
And critters for the EP or for the animal rights activists. Yeah, I love the one. Well, rhinoceroses won't be able to migrate anymore. Get your facts right. There's not a rhinoceros in Mexico, and if it is, it's in a zoo. But yeah, it should make some of them happy because rabbits and critters and snakes and birds. What about birds? They can't cross. What do you mean? They can't fly anymore?
I would say Trump sat there and said, "Well, if you want to get down to brass tacks, steel is more." Strong than cement. Even if we went 12 inches thick and it was solid, that steel is much stronger. And if that's what they want, it's what they want. I just said something broad, so it's funny that they're starting to come in on that stuff.
They're getting into grade semantics
school and word porn and all that.
They can't beat him up on the principle
that he's not
of the
doing
fact.
It.
Right, the principle of the fact is. It's going to get done.
They start to make. He's making a fence now, and people look at their backyard like that kind of fence. That ain't going to work. No, we don't want that. It's like this is badass. Steel.
You said it was going to be gray. In fact, it's going to be like a charcoal blue steel. So you're alive. I mean, and then they can impeach him. See this? I'm not saying they're going to, but these are the little tiny tidbits that they've been looking for. He's impeachable because he used the word red, and it's not really red. It's kind of violet. It's this or that. They're acting like 12-year-old children that argue over the tiny things.
Yes. Look at Q posted on this guy, like he said. Read that.
First 24 hours of Democrats in power filed articles to impeach Trump. Well, weird. And introduced a bill to kill the Electoral College. That you all need to pay attention to. Passed bill to fund government without the border wall. Voted unanimously to go home just 4 hours after taking the job. And who's worried for our country?
That's what happened yesterday.
Pay very close attention to a couple. Bring that back, or at least scroll this one down. So I want to make sure that we talk about, maybe not this episode, but I want everybody's creative juices going. They did introduce a bill to remove the Electoral College, and I know this one is a hot topic, and here's how you easily defeat anybody in a debate. I don't care if it's my party, your party, whoever's party, that your candidate beat my candidate by one popular vote. I do not care. I only care if it's overwhelmingly, and I'm talking by a large percentage. Well, Scott, what percentage is that? It'd have to be 10 to 15 to 20% to make me think or care. I do not want my country being ran by New York,
L.A., Chicago. Those three right there will do it.
The point of the Electoral College is to make sure that the Iowans and the Minnesotans, and the Montana, the smaller states, still have an economic voice, because what goes on in California does not work.
No,
it barely works there.
Right now, I think all three, I'm not sure, most of the, we're talking L.A., Chicago, New York, and I think one spot in Florida where all the retirees are at, like the old community.
On the Panhandle,
that would dictate our president from here on out.
And not just the president, but it would dictate
tons of things.
It would have such an economic impact. The men or women, whatever, the people in Pittsburgh hammering that steel do not work on. I travel this country, and I'm telling you, there's different pockets and sects of people and industries. What works for the Southwest does not necessarily work for the Northeast.
Yes.
And vice versa. And in the Midwest.
And then if you're pitching to these people in them cities, a lot of them, like, they're on like the bus systems. They have the bikes that you rent for.
Sure.
And then they pitch when they come across, like, we need to raise stuff for the state on emissions of cars. Everyone's like, yes, we'll sign off because we don't even pay that anyway. We don't own cars. It's just a different, and these are sanctuary cities. They're already breaking constitutional laws. I don't know about Chicago. I don't think Chicago is a sanctuary, is it? I know L.A. is, and I know New York is.
There's a lot of things I could say about Chicago, but my beloved Cubbies are there. So,
man,
and by the way, bear down at 4 o'clock Eastern time, or Central, I suppose it is. But you're right.
It seems unconstitutional already, and then these places are.
I've heard so many debates on that, the Electoral College, and Scott, you need to get through your head. Trump, HRC beat him. Well, thank God for the Electoral College. Again, I know it's beating a dead horse, but I certainly do not want. I mean, think about the people in California. How many are there? 50 million? And say there's 30-some million in New York and another 17 million in Illinois. Those three states could potentially rule the entire country, and that is the best way to defend their Electoral College. This is not a popular vote. Never has been. It goes back to Al Gore and Bush. They fought and fought and fought over those votes, and I'm thinking, it's a moot point. It doesn't matter. So if you don't understand the Electoral College, and again, this is not college like a university. If you don't understand it, do a little bit of research. This is probably one scenario. Well, I'll beg you to take my word for it. This is absolutely a horrible thing that they're trying to pass. They won't pass it because it'll take supermajority, and I'm also certain that the Supreme Court comes in there somehow. But so don't let it scare you like the Second Amendment. But it is worth mentioning and talk about. This is what these idiots are. I mean, right away, let's impeach. Let's remove the Electoral College. And by the way, let's get the hell out of here 4 hours from now. Can we have a raise too? Bye.
Unbelievable.
So don't tell me don't panic and freak out and try to convince me that this is Trump shutdown. You guys literally don't want to do anything.
Yeah. And folks, it's just it's a real unfortunate time. So we'll see here if I don't know if Trump's already been to Camp David and left, if we're not going to get any kind of live thing. Yeah, I got the chat up now at this point.
The Bears. We follow the Bears because we're actually pretty close there. Our local Colts, because we're in Indiana, they won, big win. Now we got the Bears, so hopefully that's a potential Super Bowl rematch.
369 in the room.
All right,
go ahead and.
It's a Sunday afternoon. Hillary rigged everything except the Electoral College. Well, yeah, she probably screwed up right there, but that's a big pot to have to stir on your own.
We got L in the room.
Patty Mountain, Melissa, Carrie, and
Morning or afternoon, L. One of our mods, Danielle.
Lily.
Bird is in the
Lily's a
house.
Saints fan. I just seen the Saints logo. Good luck to your Saints.
L's and Eagles.
Oh boy, Eagles fly high. I think they have their own really cool song. I don't know.
I'm
the
for the
words.
team that's from the U.S.
That would be most of them, except when they play overseas.
What do you think about Trump? He used to be, what does he like to call himself? A former.
In my former life.
In my former
right?
life.
Mike played a beautiful short video about him describing himself I guess candidacy. He was candidate pre-presidency, to where he was talking about in my former life. The man has, you've heard this, and if you haven't, you will, or just watch enough of his clips and speeches. He does admit, or he comes out and says, in my former life, and we all know I believe what he meant by that is maybe he was saved. I'm not trying to go religious here, but we've all done things in our life.
Story goes that he was, right?
Right.
Got rid of TVs and really hit stuff hard. But anyway,
He's really trying, in my eyes, he seems like he has really come forward and tried to not bury his past, because he also in the same conversation was saying he was warned, and he's smart enough guy to understand he knew this was going to be hell. He knew they were going to come at him with everything. I don't think that his opposition realized he was going to pull the plug and shine a light, the light that we're always talking about, on this entire thing. But I do know, and I do believe, that he understood running for the President of the United States. Everybody that used to love him, all of his cronies, and he was in with them, right? He said he was a part of, not the cabal, he was a part of the insider club.
Yeah.
And it was nice to be an insider, because, you got things done. And
deals got made.
Right. But now that he's walked away from that.
And he says, now they don't like me.
Right.
Because I left that club.
Correct. So the whole point of him using the phrase, in my former life, hopefully he's speaking like me and like you and others. He openly admits that he's done some silly things in his life.
Took advantage of systems that were not quite created by him, but were there to and the more inside you got, the probably more the deals flew.
Sure.
And
I speak mainly on his morality, some of his womanizing comments.
Yes,
We're all men. I've made some of those comments.
that
sorry.
goes with it all, right? I
Right.
mean, back then, if he was part of this, and then it probably, I can only imagine that lifestyle. We see it on our level with people, but
Yeah. The other day when I got attacked and I was called a racist online, and it got way out of hand, and it kind of broke my heart. It hurt me a little bit. I'm thinking, wow, we're so PC anymore. So anyway, he's used this phrase in my past life or my previous.
Well, what do you think about all the times you've heard that? Like, so even before Q or before Trump, haven't we relied on former insiders a lot, like in our research, to learn about the NWO system, the one world money, one world government, leading up to a martial law and us having our guns stripped away? Where did we learn about all that from?
If there wasn't good people, former whatevers,
Dissenters
that came out and shine light on a topic, then we wouldn't know about
anything.
these things. I mean, you can only know and go forward with facts if you in fact had somebody in there. It's like the mob when they go after the mob. They don't just randomly pick a guy off the street and, you're in the mob, we're going to go ahead and prosecute.
And
for
it's
what?
not-
How do you do it?
it's never-
a former mafia member.
And it's not a lot of them. So a lot of them stay, like we said, you can join something, be part of it, and you find out it's really evil, and you can still prosper in it, or you can walk away, or there's that third thing of like exposing it.
Right.
I don't know if you're allowed to walk away from some of these things in life.
Unfortunately, I think most of the light gets shined because people cut deals. That's but now you got a guy that chose to run for the President of the United States, knew what he was going up against. They were going to come at his family. Some of it has been sickening, what they talk about his son. But he knew what he was going up against, and he did it anyway. He didn't cut no deals. He did this to give back to the country. So at least I feel like he's not a Comey, where Comey started down the right path. I think he was, and then deals were made behind the door. We'll protect your seat. Just quit, coming after me. A whole HRC thing. So he made deals, and now he's got both sides. He's right in the middle. He did it to himself. So if any truth comes from him, A, it's going to be hard to believe, but B, that truth didn't come because Comey was an honorable man and stepped forward and said, this is what I see going on, I investigated. Anything that comes out of his mouth now is because of deals that are made. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a man in the White House that did it on his own, and he didn't have to. And he's not owned, and if he is, by God, they would have said who owns him by now. They've dug and dug and dug for over 3 years now for dirt on this man.
Well, either he has to have his whole own system that he's wanting to bring in and get rid of this massive one that's controlling the world. So that's one scenario people got, I guess. I don't really go with that one. And the other thing is they might play a game like we were saying in the past. If you had your bonesman, your secret society guy, and they really tried hard because we do have free will. I have had to explain this to people that they, as easy as it would be just to cheat and rig the system, then they'd rig everything and we wouldn't even have our guns or anything today. It would be, so it is a free will thing. They like to use the media to propagate and get your mind bent. And then they do like to sit back if it's 5 months before an election and a presidential year, and they do sit back with great relief when it comes down to the final Republican and Democrat, like it always does, and both of those are their inside people. I think they're like, yes, we can't lose now. We're
Right.
5 months out. Or both of them are society guys or are people that are in, and we're good. So no matter which way, and then the agenda would still happen.
Well, I ask people this all the time, and I think it's fun. It's a fun topic, fun conversation piece. But what if HRC or Obama used Twitter to, Trump is using Twitter.
They
the
do. They
same
all have
way.
it. They all have it.
Exactly. But
Nowadays.
they weren't smart enough to use it in that way.
No, not the
He's
way, yeah.
reaching and bypassing the media to get around
It's
their
a direct message.
Correct. And he's only doing what the beloved Democrat FDR did
Some
with
people say, I
Fireside
wish
Chat.
he'd quit tweeting so I could get this stuff out of him from CNN or
Right.
for Fox,
Right.
all of them. And it's like, no, you don't. This is better.
Let him tell the White House press staff, let him tell the reporters and let them go back and tell their
All they can do
producers and
is-
editors, and then let the TVs tell. Come on,
What does
man.
the TV do half this time, this last few years, folks? They pull up a Trump tweet, with their laser, and then they're pointing like, look, he put the wall. And folks, let's break that down, the wall. And it's like they got to almost, you either take it for what it is, you can start trying to break them down.
I think this is what makes shows like the Patriot Hour and other shows that we watch. If Bill Cooper was still alive, his show would be huge. This is where our buddy in Texas that gets a little crazy now. He's off YouTube.
Remember
Jones.
Bill Cooper? We're traveling somewhere together a couple hours away, but we were listening to old obscure Bill Cooper, and it was one that he got into. He's really, folks, I just got the new and he's naming off some camcorder, and he goes, you don't understand. Now I can literally look at books with this camcorder, and you guys will be able to read like the titles and some of the pages, and this is going to change everything. I mean, he doesn't. And here we are able to on the fly. I mean, yeah.
People ask all the time, if you could have dinner, sit down with three people that ever lived. Kunta Kinte would probably be one, but although he was kind of a fictional character, sorry if you want to argue that, but I'm dead right. JFK would be another one, and then Bill Cooper. Bill would be shot. I mean, little tiny cameras.
Oh, man.
The power of our own ability to do a little bit of research.
So if you think of Trump's story, possibly a former insider, now his might not have been on purpose. It was just that he was brought up in this lifestyle, was put around all these people. But if you look at JFK's story, it's very similar. Supposedly, things I've read, he infiltrated the system, acted like he was part of them, shook hands for that first 12, 13 months, only to be gathering names, gathering how deep this went. And then he came out with that speech of, it's highly embedded into our military, our scientifical, our educational. It's like everywhere, and It's an army by day, night, not by day. It's a vast system of secrecy, and then he was going to shut down the Fed, and he was done.
I just seen a love the Bill Cooper book. I don't know if you can see this.
That was sent by I think Amy or one of our mods sent that.
By the way, God bless you all for just the little knickknacks and gifts, and it helps. We don't advertise it, we don't beg for the monies and stuff, but
Only set up the PO because they asked.
Very humbled. We've got Mikey got some coins. There's been some donations. Thanks for the birthday monies that a couple of you sent. I missed an opportunity to be here on my
Yes,
birthday.
it was just Scott's birthday a few days ago, you guys. He's got a PayPal down below if you want to buy him a coffee or a beer.
I don't Well, I do drink coffee, but so anyway, I wanted to take that was a little plug to you guys. Thank you. We're not getting rich by any means, but we are allowed to do some of the things that we do because of the help. But we're not PBS. We don't need your donations, but we do appreciate them. But the book is what that somebody just
That
commented.
is awesome.
That book is once Mike's done reading it, I'm surely going to read it. I think that everybody should read that. But you know, Bill Cooper was he was ahead of his time. And it's unfortunate that he shot himself twice in the back of the head.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Schneider.
I can't remember if he was one shot. I know he was shot with a shootout. I think with the IRS or something came to his property.
They spun it, and the local coroner ended up later saying that he didn't even get a chance to do an autopsy. It was like in and out, kind of like the JFK assassination. So. Phil, thanks, guys.
Yes.
I'm a little older, but Phil Schneider, Will Cooper.
Yeah, this one that Scott held up was one of the better, awesome. I don't know to say better.
Behold a pale horse. This is exactly what
pale horse, William Cooper.
Johnny Cash. And upon the saddle was a white. What was it? Pale horse, white horse, whatever it was. So. Anyway, a little plug to Phil Schneider, Bill Cooper. If you guys haven't heard of them, I'm not going to bash you for that. Maybe it's the first time. I'd never heard of them until Mike drew them to my attention, 3 years ago. Interesting stuff. But they were looked upon as conspiratists, too. Mike and I get labeled that from some people on here, some people locally. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, I feel like we're a little bit like Trump, to where we're trying to get out the information. I mean, this is the movement.
Yep, there you go. She put that they murdered him out in front of his house. A shootout of sorts started. It's real murky, honestly. We only got the actual official report by the guys that lived, not the guy that's dead.
Correct. Correct.
Other than that, and who knows? I know Bill Cooper early on talked about he had saw something come out of the ocean. I have no doubt that he did. He was claiming aliens. But then by the end of his many of years of collecting research and having the largest intelligence for a civilian, what he ended up building over there, his thing was the largest civilian intelligence gathering outfit. And he came to believe that there was no aliens, that this was government technology. But that was, again, so he was a little flip-floppy on that. But who could know the whole plan? Same with Phil Schneider. He saw things that shot at him. Were they aliens underground? That's what he claimed they were, but it could have been governmental research things. Who knows what they've created?
A lot of technology, and I can go along with any really good conspiracy theory, but I love the idea that so quickly from 1905 or 10ish to, let's just say, 1995. Our intelligence and our abilities and our equipment and our weapons and our knowledge almost doubled
overnight
every 10 years. And we went from horse and buggy and train to Mars in 100 years. My great-grandmother on her deathbed, she was born in 1896, and then she died in the mid-90s, late 90s. I remember her saying, she doesn't believe that anybody will ever live in a time like she did because of what she saw. Literally from a dirt floor, one-bedroom house to hearing that they're going to send robots to Mars. I mean, just imagine. And I think that's kind of where Trump was getting back to, let's be America again. People used to sit around and watch the launches from Cape Canaveral on the TV. You used to be proud to buy and build American products. And then somewhere our families started, sorry, this is going a little economic here, but started wanting stuff cheaper, and I understand that. I'm guilty of it too. And then by spending decades and decades of going cheaper and letting China build all of our stuff just so we could have it cheaper, we didn't realize what we were doing to our own economy. We were screwing ourselves because we wanted things cheap. So now we're at this point where the tariff war, some people are, Trump's going to put us into an economic slide. No, he's actually doing what we should have done a long time ago. A, didn't bend over, and B, don't just give our jobs away. So now he's working harder to get these jobs back and get the patriotic movement going again.
Yep.
So
that's the difference.
I know we're all over the map, but
nationalism versus globalism.
Correct.
And that is going to be our maybe little topic. We're going to take a quick 5 minute. Me and Scott are going to go out and do a little garage talk, 5, maybe 6 minutes. We're gonna shut. You guys don't have to leave here on the live. I'm gonna shut down the thing right now. So for the Patriot Hour, we'll see you guys next episode.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, I just stopped that recording. Folks, stay here. I know we got about 400 in the room. This is awesome. We're gonna come back. I'm gonna set up a live thing. If you guys want to call in, we probably won't bring anyone's face into the show. We'll just let you talk over me and Scott. If you have a question, if you just want to give us a shout out for love, or a shout out to the rest of the channel. But other than that, if you have a question, you could call in. Other than that, we're going to come back. We're going to take some questions from the screen.
Get
and
your
call in.
Yeah, get your
something
juices going. Get your juices going. Help us have the, maybe I can go as long as Mike wants to go the next episode. I'm here for as long as y'all want us.
Okay, so we're going to come back in about 5 minutes after a quick break, and we will do also, I'll put a little something on here for you guys. And we'll see you back here in a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right. We're back
We are
in it.
We are.
All right. For this portion, we are just going to...
Freelance style, I guess.
Yes.
I love the Patriot Hour, but this may not be fruitful for me.
How come Kevin or Ken Burdick?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, that was my phone. I was probably
I'm looking all around like, what is vibrating?
sorry.
You're fine.
Put it on silent, and yet it still does that. Welcome back, Jan Jones.
All right. Do we have anyone that wants to call in? We're not going to bring anyone's face in. You guys can just talk into your phone. I'm going to put up a number here. Hold on. Make it real mobile-ish.
Or questions, or Sunday afternoon. I'm sure a lot of people are trying to watch football. Maybe they're multitasking.
I need...
Man, I'm so glad that we got back into the Bill Cooper. Like I told you, I was watching a few of the old ones the other day, and it just got my juices going all over again. He was so right. What did he say? How did he say? He said, in order to get where he believed we should have been going or should be going, it was going to take an outsider, and voila, we got ourselves an outsider. No ties, no political background, kind of refreshing.
All right.
Oh, you just jumped it over there. I'll follow on my phone.
You're good. I got it. I'll bring it back to you. Copy. Paste.
I really like this tech. I like to be able to go live. I like to be able to be in control without... of course, I don't know the analytics in the background, but... So what's Scott's channel? And I've heard this question a few times. I was just talking to Mike about it. I'm a very busy guy with 4 kids, 2 businesses. This was Mike and I's baby. I don't know if I'm going to ever start my own channel. I couldn't imagine anybody would really just chime in just to hear me ramble on.
We have to convince him, folks. All right, so if you look up on the main screen here, Scott, just for everyone else, basically in the live chat, vmixcall.com, very simple. And you're going to come to a page that's like behind me and Scott where it says your name. Put in your name if you want. You don't even have to. Just put in whatever. And then the password that I'm showing is the password. You put that in and you're going to join in, folks. All right, we could hear you. It's up to you if you want to. vmix.com, call. vmixcall.com. Very simple. And then
yes, the Cowboys did win. That was a big win for them. I know we're not necessarily a sports show, but I think we've proven that we can hit all spectrums here, whatever it takes to keep everybody salivated a little bit.
all right, any questions also in the
Karen says, yes, you should, Scott. Well, I'm going to work with Mike on that a little bit. He's got his QAnon platform, the spin-off, the Patriot show. So
we'll see. You can. This is where we did get you set up at home. Then you can jump on and do the 5-10 minute updates on that, and then you could post. Yeah, this is what we want to expand. We're going to have to eventually cover everything, folks. This is what we want to do. We are real news.
Why don't Patriots go after the fake news?
I
think we try to beat them up, you know.
We just give truth, they give lie. That is beating them up.
Yeah. Actually, that was a platform that I would use, you know. Maybe I'll just look at the daily news every day, what I hear on the radio in my travels and whatever I hear and see, and then right before I crash for the day or for the night, maybe I get on to a 5-minute plug on what my opinion happens to be on what fake news actually is.
Oh, we got Susan in. Hold on here. All right, Susan, can we hear you? Or L? Susan?
Which one we got?
Yes.
Hey. We hear you. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I just retired.
Did I hear that right? She just retired?
Did you just retire?
Yep, I just retired.
Well, congratulations.
Here, we're going to bring you up. We'll bring you up. All right, we got Susan. How you doing?
A retiree, that is great. That's what we're all aiming for someday. Hopefully you
Yes.
get to enjoy your golden years.
So do you have anything you want to say to us, Patriots?
We might be having some technical difficulties.
All right, thank.
Just keep following the plan. I've been following Q since day one.
All right, you heard it there. She's been following. Have you did you see Trump today? Was he at Camp David?
Is that?
Looks like it lost her.
Yeah, did we? Yeah.
It happens.
Check.
All right, hold on.
So this is kind of a question with Mike here. When we go live like that, is that where the echo and mine come in, or?
Well, in order to hear somebody coming in, I have to hit a button. So yeah, that's where the echo comes in. Now
so
it's off, right?
It's the reverse feed then. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what sucks. Like whenever I have somebody beam in, the whole show I have to operate in that manner, and that makes it rough.
Geez.
That's where I used to be really slow because I'm like,
Old Town says, "Is it really golden?" Referring to the golden years when we get to retirement. I'm not there yet. Susan's there. Maybe she can type something there real quick. But the overall goal is, yes, we put in all this hard work to get to those golden years. Some of our opinions might differ from one another. Hopefully, your golden years are when you're still somewhat healthy and can be physically active and get to enjoy some of the monies or the fruits of your labor. I certainly hope I can get there before I'm 80 years old. Otherwise, all I'm going to do is sit right in front of a microphone.
2746. All right, I'm going to do it again. There you go. There's a number. Every time we have somebody connect, and then whether it disconnects or isn't very solid, there's going to be a new number. So again, anyone jump in? It looked like when I first got down there, L was in, but then it was Susan. So.
Brian Withrow, I hope I pronounced that right. If the president and vice are at CD, then something major is going down. I don't know how to say. Fact, I don't know, but it is alarming. I would guess that there's no reason why they both would be.
Who we have, L?
Is she back? Or
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh. There you go. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes. I keep forgetting. I have a lot of buttons to push. Yes, we hear you. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing? I don't want to bogart the show here, but I do want to say hi, Scott. By the way, you need to stop hiding your handsome face behind that microphone.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very
Who
much.
knew YouTube could be the new matchmaker? No, I was joking.
But Mike, I wanted to just say thank you so much. You inspired me. I did a live stream last night. I'm not trying to plug anything, but more people, there's a whole generation and even, our generation that do not know who Bill Cooper is. Even when they announced his death, they called him a militia member and a talk show host, when in actuality, he was a patriot. People need to go back and listen. I did a whole show informing people of who he was, how he served this country. And yes, Behold a Pale Horse is a great book. However, as you grow and you learn things, you change some things. So he did get away from the alien thing, and
a lot
he
of
was
people
just
don't know that. If you don't,
I know.
but you're right. Keep going.
They caught some of his early stuff and they tried to.
You can always re-show just the early stuff, but yes, he had a whole history, and I'm gonna have to check that show out. I definitely did not. I missed that, but that's awesome that you did that, L.
I did it because of you, because of your clips and what he said about, yes, it is possible for a good guy to get in and to do it. It is possible. People need to be patient, okay? The revolution will not be televised. We used to think it would be, but it would cause mass hysteria. And
agree.
God wins, guys. God wins. These people are satanic, and they will go down.
God bless you. That is actually correct. Thanks, Al. Thank you so much.
I got goosebumps all of a sudden, and maybe it's God, I don't know what. I'm not real good with grammar, so I do apologize. But just what she just said, this takes me back. I'm very humbled. This is exactly why I wanted to do this show, Mike. I mean, there are other people out there that think like us. We're no longer, but the quick 10-second, 20-second plug of how Mike and I got started. Too many kept telling us, shut your mouth. You don't talk about it here at the Legion or the bar or wherever him and I happen to be. So,
yes,
I am way taken aback now. This is exactly why we're doing what we're doing. It's great, and I hope you all feel the same way. There's almost 100,000 of us strong now.
Yes.
Subscribers, thank you very much. But how awesome is that to know that we're not alone? I knew we weren't, but how do you reach them? Well, now we have found the platform, and
there's a big story here, folks, and that's exact. I'm glad, and Elle hit it on the head. That was the whole reason I made that. I heard people saying like, well, if you look at his past, this and that, or this person, it's like, well, look at all of our past and look at what point do you get changed? What point do you figure out something that you want to move forward and operate in a different way? Well, there's a lot of them throughout our time in history. People that have saw things, did things, were part of things. And that's the only reason we even got a glimpse of what's going on, is because these people felt something, whether it was God, the hand of God, or just a conscience of their own that this isn't right, and I'm going to try to do something about it. I want to warn people. These are the people we should listen to. So
think
awesome.
Think about how, now I've seen and read and stayed up on a lot of the Cooper stuff. Of course, when I started watching it or listening or whatnot, researching, he was already dead. He never looked or acted scared. He spoke defensively. He was worried for his family. But, oh my God, that was a different genre. That was a different time that you and I, he gave us the freedoms that we're doing right now, kind of. Right now, we could be pissing somebody off, pardon my language. We could be upsetting or unraveling or ruffling some people's feathers, but we're not alone in this. They can't go after all of us. But he, in an early stage, was kind of alone, ultimately ending in his death. But he kind of laid the foundation for us, and because of technology, we're not alone anymore, and we don't have to have the same fears that he did. I couldn't imagine having to come over, get in the studio with Mike, say my opinions, talk about being a patriot, talk about the Constitution, and then go get in my vehicle and wonder if my brake lines are cut or something. You know what I mean? But there probably was a time, obviously, when him and Schneider started this type of thing. They were doing it on AM radios, and it was so easy just to knock them off. You know?
Bill Cooper did the one where it was, I don't think ham radio, but similar, where it would only reach so far, and then he'd rely on other people to grab it and beam it out further.
Boost it.
No. Funny point on that, Elle, is so you were inspired to do your live stream last night because of what I put out, which is leading back to Bill. The whole premise of this channel was based off of one of Bill's. I think me and Scott listened to it. I'd listened to it years before. So 3 years ago, I showed it to him again on a journey, and I went to go turn it off after 10 minutes. And he's like, "Wait, don't touch it!" Oh my God!
I was hooked.
I was like, "Cool." I thought I was going to go somewhere else, but this is one I did want you to listen to, and I'm glad you got hooked you. But at the end of that, I think he was in Lansing, Michigan. He's on stage, and he's like, "Folks, it's mine." And he's talking about the radio station and how you could have your, but this one's mine, and that's why he did this, and you could have it too. And I encourage everyone for a little bit of money. And he was talking about buying these transistors that hooked up to your satellites back in the early 90s. And for several $100, you can get up and running, get a microphone, and you can do this as well. But here we are today doing it on a total different platform in the same idea. He would be on this as well, or everything. But this is, that's what I always told Scott. We need our own platform instead of just arguing with the same five guys.
And somebody said earlier, and I lost track, but thank you for the compliment. I do say often what I feel and what I think and whatnot, but that's what inspired me. That when I listened to Bill, that's what got to me. If we all just clam up and we don't speak up for our rights and support them and defend them and speak together as a group, we won't be heard, or we will be labeled as conspiratists or BSers or whatever it is. Mike and I don't necessarily always have a platform per se. We just get on here and we talk about today's events. We're not news anchors that a producer and editor's telling us.
We don't have a teleprompter right here.
We bounce ideas.
We're not controlled.
Right. I mean, this is no different than if all 100,000 of us could be at a bar or in my living room or right here and just chatting. This is nothing more than a portal for us to be able to communicate with other people, like-minded people that we wouldn't normally have known about or ever meet or ever see. So it is a powerful movement, and they better fear it. And I don't mean fear it as if we're just going to physically hurt them, but we're hurting.
The biggest fear they have is the public awakening. Mm-hmm. That their whole guise lies on. So if all of us are awakened to the fact that the real reason they don't want the border is because it would stop the flow of drugs, and how much invested they are into that crap, I don't know, but we're just going to keep it at, if you're awake to the fact when they ignore that and they're on TV saying like, no, it's a racist wall, or saying whatever else it really is, and you know that it's to do with the human trafficking, the drug flow. What do you know they're lies now. Yeah. It doesn't work.
You guys are the pale horse. Bill Cooper would be proud. You know what? Most people wouldn't understand that aren't us. You guys and us. That I'm going to take that home with me tonight with a chip on my shoulder. If I'm compared to Bill Cooper, I've done my job.
The student becomes the teacher.
Yeah. I'd still be the student if they didn't kill him.
Yes.
So that's great. That's a hell of a compliment.
We had to pick up the helm. We had to keep the candle burning.
Somebody had to. I know there's a lot of other channels. I know there's a lot of other thinkers, but too many of them then get to such a high. And I promise you this, no matter if we reach 1 million, 10 million, or a zillion subscribers, Mike and I are not going to sell out. We're never going to sell our opinions out. There's not a producer in the world that wants me on their microphone anyway. I'm not going to be corrupted or churned. I mean, that's the whole point.
That's huge. And another thing, folks, is a lot of these older Bill Cooper videos I'm bringing back are ones I did earlier on this channel. Of course, YouTube doesn't allow me just to put them right back up. They got like a video content thing, so I have to like put them back through a thing. I add some filters, maybe put 2 of them together, and then it becomes a different video. But I did these early on, and they were huge to me. And I was, again, we didn't have enough people getting the message. Now I'm bringing some of them back. They're really relevant. They always will be relevant. And that's awesome that it touched somebody like Elle, and she went on and did her. This is what it takes. Sharing the truth. That's their biggest fear, is that we know the guys.
Yeah.
Nathan, any more questions over there?
Great comments, guys. We love the simplicity of your content. When Mike told me that we were going to get over to the Patriot Tech and have the ability to go live, I was nervous at first, but a lot of good things come from that. If him and I get a stalemate moment and we're just a little brain dead or whatever, it's so easy to just bounce off you guys. So you guys are a big part of this as well. But along those lines, it allows me to actually see what I envisioned back, whenever we started this a year and a half ago or whatever, to be able to sit here and see these comments. I know I'm probably beating this up, but these people are saying the same thing, thinking the same way. I don't know how many times I've just seen, I've been a Bill Cooper follower forever.
Bill Cooper was Navy. Now, he was in the Air Strategic Guard, I think, before the Navy, and then he got into the Navy. Yeah, he was definitely Navy, not Air Force. Air Strategic Guard, which I'm not real sure what that is. We got a new Q. What's the last one here? Anon's new.
Yeah, that was the last one. I'm actually going to the Ginsburg one. Man, I'm going to have to read into that. I got to find. I'm a little simplistic, too simplistic sometimes. It's not actually a book. Oh, we do have a new one.
Yeah, here Scott's going to read this new Q post.
Jeez, it's a book here. I need it enlarged or something.
Yeah, hold on.
If you keep that still, I can probably.
I'm going to get it larger for sure. I'll get up to 200.
Okay, so this is When will the public discover that Ted Cruz was also illegally surveillanced?
Yep.
Pre-POTUS nomination. CA illegal surveillance, member of Congress, question mark. CA illegal surveillance, members of press, question mark. Senate Intel, Com, question mark.
So that's a CIA.
Yeah.
They put underscore. So CIA was illegally surveilling Congress, press, and then Senate Intelligence Committee.
I can understand why they would. So they were doing surveillance on him too. They were making sure that no matter who the nominee was going to be, and they knew it was going to be Cruz or Trump, they were doing crap to both of them to make sure that they had either had enough dirt or to see what was going on.
To follow along in real time.
I
didn't they?
almost cursed to a very loud level there. I was going to use them SOBs. No matter it wasn't just Trump, and so get this out. I mean, they're spinning it on the media that it was Trump this, Trump that. They were doing this to both candidates that were going to potentially go against HRC to stack the deck, or in poker terms, you're hedging your bet, or whatever. So who ordered the surveillance? Question mark. What justification was provided to authorize surveillance of elected officials? I'm pretty sure the Obama administration. Surveillance fall under scope of FISA warrant or internal to department or outsourced to
Five Eye.
See,
they were. We learned that if you go over to, if you access a system here under the surveillance, and there's a query. It's almost like if you could imagine a YouTube where you have this search block, and behind that search block, that was all of our intelligence, even here in the United States, like all of our text messages, everything you've ever sent. And if you start typing in, maybe your name and then certain things, that's what comes up.
It queries them.
It queries everything, depending on the scope of it. So they were a way around that is like people like that are no longer in office, like Hillary or Obama or any of these people, they can go over and visit like the UK. And then if they have an inside guy over there, he gives them access, and searching over there doesn't necessarily come back to our system here, the people that are supposed to check the queries. Because there's certain people that are in play.
You're not flagging yourself with a cookie of any type.
Yes.
You're.
So you had illegal. You're making this country over here access in, and therefore you subverted it. And these other countries have different laws than what we do, which is one of them is that they don't.
Probably some of the same countries or companies in those countries that was given to the foundation.
Yeah. Or the ones here,
which is now it doesn't get near as much money, which is really weird.
Yes, or like here, everyone that goes to log in, that puts a track in the system, and then you logged in at a certain device, and then you start doing queries. So somebody that would overcheck that to see who's doing queries and what kind of queries they would get, who it was, where they logged in at, what government building or source, and then they'd know a lot. But when you do that overseas, they don't even have those kind of rules in on their own country. So it helps evade. This is the kind of things that we're learning about. But anyway, go on.
Wow. All right, where'd I leave off? Should we be...
reality check, maybe?
Reality check. Friend or foe? We all spy on each other, question mark. Should we be spying on ourselves, question mark. God, that's Pandora's box. Should we be tasking others to spy on ourselves in order to avoid U.S. law? Yeah, let's outsource that. Jeez.
This is plausible deniability.
I need to hire you to spy on me. Okay, so was Five Eye established and designed by the intel community as a back-channel surveillance apparatus to avoid domestic laws, triggers and congressional Senate oversight? Agreed. What key logs exist to monitor Five Eye intel collection? What ability do former government officials have regarding ability to access sea-level Five Eye offshore data? Wow. How did HRC gain access to the highest classified SAPs, closed system access? Mike just talked a little bit about this, and now I'm really sick to my stomach. And able to transfer remote home server.
That's even getting deeper than I knew.
Q above should scare every single American. Absolutely, I'm getting scared as I read this. How did China locate primary CIA assets within China? 187, question mark. Money buys power. No punishment, Brennan, by Hussein administration.
Regarding surveillance.
Surveillance of Senate, etc. Logical thinking. Why? Question mark. Then there's a link. Some of you guys are going to have to go over this on your own, some of these links, but Justice Department declines to pursue. Irritates the hell out of me. Fake news media limits exposure to the public, question mark. Of course they did. When did Snowden breach NSA and publicly release crippling, or it's cripple here, but crippling intel gathering ability? NSA, question mark. NSA targeted, question mark. Where did Snowden work prior to NSA contractor except, question mark. Whew. What senior level government CIA official received Snowden for NSA contractor off TAR position? Post-public release of classified NSA protocol U1.
Uranium 1.
Where is Snowden today? What country was involved in the Uranium 1? If real target country was Venezuela or Ecuador, why didn't Snowden take a direct flight from Hong Kong to those locations? How many direct flights run daily from Hong Kong to Venezuela and Ecuador? If Snowden was CIA, NSA would he not understand simple logic? Going public prior to the end destination safety would limit active passport travel ability due to block _DEREG. DEREG. Why wouldn't Snowden publicly release info after he already was safely at a final destination? Why then would Snowden route through Russia? Was Russia a final destination? Was Russia a true destination? Could Snowden be seen releasing classified program intel from inside of Russia? What role did Brennan play in the Snowden leaks? NSA, what was Brennan's background? Saudi Arabia. Does the CIA hold blackmail on political leaders? Of course.
Yes.
Does the CIA protect those who protect them?
Yes.
Of course. Why are ex-CIA contractors running for office? Obvious.
They were
Cover
promised.
up.
They were promised those positions.
They were trained properly. How many ex-CIA contractors are currently in office? Question mark. Hello. A yes.
Who is that?
A yes.
Adam Schiff? Adam Shifty? Maybe.
Once an agent, always an agent. Well.
Ooh, Adam Schiff was an ex-CIA contractor, maybe?
I'm starting to sweat a little bit about making too many comments or reading some of this.
That's why I had you do it. I don't.
Thanks.
I don't feel safe reading that. Just joking, folks.
Long-winded. What's going on here? Somebody's pointing out the obvious that we all believe or have thought.
That just came 10 minutes ago, folks. Well, about 15. Let me do another update just to make sure.
So now let me ask everybody, after seeing this post, do you find it strange that both heads of state, President and Vice, would be at Camp David now? There was a whole lot of CIA conversation drops, protection, calling of people out without really calling them out, just leading and pointing direction at, I don't know how much I legally can say, or now all of a sudden I kind of feel like Bill Cooper in the 80s. But is it strange now that they might be at Camp David, or are in fact at Camp David? And boy, does that get your brain just churning. What is going on?
Let me get some more.
You'd have to be a brave individual. Now, one of the conspiracy theories behind the JFK assassination was obviously like a week or 11 days prior to him being shot. He was not caught. He did say, he'll tear the CIA up in pieces and throw them to the wind.
Yeah. Shatter or scatter the. Well, think about that. If JFK, I was saying it earlier, if he embedded the system and won and duked a bunch of people, and then, Trump did it a little better. He just studied everything as well, knew everything coming in, and had all the extra precautions put into place. Why not? It's a crazier version of the JFK.
Earthquakes, high alert next 5 to 7 days, I heard. That's strange. I don't agree that Pence is to be trusted. My thoughts from Indiana. Linda, we're from Indiana.
Well, there's reports coming out now, and again, I haven't done any videos on it, but I've seen a few. The linkage of trafficking. I don't know if Pence has anything to do with it. There's some articles out there. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not going to jump down the conspiracy theory hole just yet. My understanding being a Hoosier, kind of following Pence, he is against the grain. He's against the new me generation. And he's not against them. Nobody in the young generation cares to hear about God and religious strength and backbone and courage. Is this a ploy to give him a black eye? I mean, they've thrown everything at Trump. Now they're going to attack Trump or Pence. I don't know. I'm not really prepared to go there yet. But from what I gather, and I don't know the man personally, I don't believe Pence is evil by any means. They're going to paint him evil because there are a lot of pagans in this country. There's a lot of people that want to see complete separation, which, by the way, there already is complete separation of church and state. There's a whole lot of people fearing that somebody in the White House openly prays.
Right here.
So Pence was involved in pedophiles.
That's some articles are dropping, and I don't.
Somebody show me the articles, show me who wrote them, show me where that research was done, and I'll play the game. I'll read anything.
That's all it is, folks. We haven't got there yet. Right. I've seen a few videos pop up, Pence's name involved, and I've just started to see a few articles.
I will remind you this: a lot of good men and women in the history of the world have fallen from greatness or whatever because the media, and this is what I was going to spin back a little bit ago, and it just reminded me of that. There was a time when the media labeled somebody like Tesla crazy.
Yeah.
We're now using Tesla's theories and whatever. But if you go back and look at when Tesla was actually being creative and was alive, he was brilliant. He was a genius. But the newspapers were told by somebody to discredit him, and of course he was discredited, and he died alone, broke. Come to find out that the reason they discredited him was because he was right, and there was a lot of money and power to be gained from his theories. So I would warn you to be very careful about who we throw on that cross. I'm not saying Pence is good. I'm not saying he's evil. I'm just saying I'm not prepared to go that direction yet. And again, the history of Tesla is my reasoning behind that. I sure hope Tesla's up there looking down. He's getting all kinds of credit now, but a little too late, Do not believe everything that you read or see on TV. Don't even believe everything you see on the internet, of course.
You got to do all your own. All right, let me see if I could find anything on Camp David.
Go ahead, try that.
David Trump.
Man, he talk a good talk. Cliffhanger's going back. I think he asked earlier, do I something about we or do I about the NFL? Do we? I'm still not big on the kneeling thing, and if there's any support of that or if any team's doing that, I don't watch them. This is one reason why I was upset with the owner of one of my local teams that I was a diehard fan of. I'm glad they won yesterday. Until he's not the owner anymore, I probably won't care too much. But no, just you don't kneel. And if you want to kneel, then you and I have nothing to talk about.
Kneel for the cross. Stand for the flag. Right?
Yeah.
CNN, this is from CNN, by the way. President Trump said Sunday he might declare a national emergency. We know that. I may declare a national emergency, told as he left the White House for Camp David. So I keep seeing articles even from 30 minutes ago before he left for Camp David. So I guess there's no reporters there.
What's the consensus or the thought process? I mean, what's the emergency? I mean, does anybody have any opinions on, we're predicting an emergency? Why is he going to have to issue what? How does he know in the forefront?
You know how we have the war on drugs in this country? It's been going on for 50 years. So they've declared the drugs coming in and people doing them is a war. If we have an issue at the border where it only takes 2 people or 3 people to be coming over at the same time, coordinated together, be considered an invasion. So we're not using these words. Everyone's acting like, they're just hungry and this and that. But it's like, it's an invasion. And you're not getting the certain portion of the community or up in politics wanting to support getting the wall. So is it a national emergency? We got human trafficking going on, drug flow, and then illegal immigration. You declare it a national emergency, and then you can operate
differently.
You get different fundings. It comes out of the military, the Green Castle to Red Castle to Green Castle.
Somebody just said something about Pence also got an envelope, and then but let me ask you this: was there foresight? Is it a ploy? I know a lot of people. You and I talked a little bit ago about how they think that Trump isn't educated enough, or he says too much. There's got to be. I'm hoping, because we've trusted everything else, and I trust the administration. Did they also give him one? Did somebody know that these envelopes were going to go out? So they gave Pence one too. This is a big game of chess. I don't have all the details. I wish I did. If I did, I'd be dead. None of us really know. Again, if he did get an envelope, why? Is it to shine light on that? Or is it just to make sure that their game of chess is protected? I don't know. So now I'm just going to ramble.
Well, all of that you can't know, folks. I know there's lots of channels that are broken down what are in the envelopes, and it's like, well, how do they know what was in the envelopes?
Pence getting envelope could have been fodder for fake news.
That's what we don't know. We're just folks. We don't want to sit here and defend anybody or mar anybody for. All we're saying is, I know there's other channels that have posted some things on Pence, and I know there's some articles going. I just started to see them. I haven't looked at enough to even, without being on the fly here, pulling up some article, but I don't like to, we're not going to do that today.
I certainly will make an opinion after I've seen enough information.
Yes, that's how we, just like, we've heard it all. Keep your enemies close. That's why Trump's got him as a vice president. Okay, possibly, but
which is still crazy because I think he was going to win, and I only say this because history. Why did they need Pence as a vice president? They probably were going to get Indiana anyway. It was going to go red. Usually, you want to pick a running mate that is in a battle state that might carry for you. One reason why I never understood why Palin was, and I'm not saying I didn't like her because I voted that way, but why did they ask Palin to be run for vice president? Because Alaska was going to get you minimal electoral votes. So, I mean, I never understood some of the logic sometimes. So there's got to be backroom discussions or reasons behind that. Maybe it's because Pence and the Republican Party is probably the furthest one up front that is not afraid to be religious. And I think that maybe in our time in history, we need that. I could go along with that, but I don't know. I guess we're going to find out some more.
A lot of people have watched some of these videos of the envelopes getting handed out at that funeral. Yes, folks, they looked upset the minute they opened them. They didn't like, now they're coming out saying that George W. Bush took a deal and got with Trump a month before, and he turned everybody in. That's, talked on his dad.
Save face.
Yeah, you got leverage. I mean, it just depends on the extent of the crimes.
I've read the Bush books on not the old man Bush. Sorry, blank.
W.
He claims to be. His wife seemed. I mean, the books that I've read, one was a biography, one was autobiography, whatever it was, show him in a light of being a religious man, and kind of like the movie that's coming out now. Maybe he was just a figurehead, a puppet per se. I could go along with that. And the movie probably portrays him as just being real dumb and Cheney ran everything. But my personal opinion on Bush is he seems to be, him and Laura. Laura is diehard religious, but I mean, how do I know? How does anybody know? I haven't had dinner with him. I don't hang out with him on a normal basis.
You only know what the TV's perceived him to be.
That's why I read his books. I read a lot. If I'm confused on what I'm seeing on TV, I try to go to biographies, autobiographies.
But then again, if you're a criminal, and then when the cops come to you and try to get the story out of you, of course you're going to sell them what you. So I don't exactly, folks. Check it out. It's like this. I do find it odd. I did redo a video a week ago from when he was in the classroom. And at the same time, the towers are getting hit. He was in that Florida classroom down in Florida. That lady was having all the kids recite, steal, plane, must, hit, running. It's just a lot of, again, coincidences. I don't know. And again, are they the puppets? Are these things staged around them and they're just pieces in the puzzle? Yeah. I think so. I think there's compartmentalization all the way up and down in a lot of these things. But again, some of that is just, we don't really need to worry about right now. It'll all come out. In the end, everything will be known. We've heard that, right? We know that. The Bible says it. In the end, it is up to you to know. Have we been duped? I don't know.
Go back on some of my upbringing, spade, whatever, but I'm not going to go. I don't want to do that because I don't want my background. Again, this goes back to what we talked about earlier about my former life. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time beating somebody up that, in my eye, to this point, has been decent or good.
Without verifiable proof.
The best way to bring somebody down is to, spread lies and to do that sort of thing. And if anybody rolled or, there's conspiracy thoughts that Bush rolled, I understand that. Again, then maybe he wasn't a very formidable, maybe he wasn't a good man. Trump did this, came to the White House knowing, again, that he was going to be up against a wall. He is a real truth teller, in my opinion, because he wasn't forced to do it. Now, anybody else trying to now spin and make a deal, really, I'm not going to listen to them near as much as I would have before they made the deal.
It's like Bill Cooper said, listen to everybody, read everything you can, but believe nothing until you can verify it.
What's the other thing he says? Believe 0% of what you hear. Believe 0% of what you hear and only half of what you see.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to get on I didn't even know we were going to go the Pence direction. So this is news to me. I mean,
this is just, again, so don't comment on it until you do some research. That's fine. That's how it works here, folks. All of us, all right? If you hear something that goes against almost a lot of what you know, chill on it. Take what you just heard in. Go do some more research. Wait for a little bit of time. Because we don't need to sit here and bash one person or if people don't agree, because there's enough else stuff going on. Some of the other stuff is just a spaghetti arm of the whole system, and it's all how it works. That's why I love it here. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm going to keep praying for our president, and anybody that hopes that he fails is just ignorant, because y'all know what that ultimately means. The me generation that say your president, not my president. Well, then leave the country, because until you leave and become a citizen somewhere else, he's still yours. It's almost like going to work and hoping that your CEO fails miserably.
Hope I don't get paid Friday because this whole system falls down.
Yeah, you don't understand that even if you can't stand, if I couldn't stand, I never hoped or prayed that Obama failed, because ultimately my children and myself and all of you would have failed. So I will pray, and I hope to God that they succeed and good always wins. You're not going to catch me saying your president, my president, or I hope he fails. That is just some of the dumbest stuff, the answers that we get, though. Well, I hope Trump fails.
Go ahead and talk to some of them. I gotta use the restroom real quick.
Okay, Obama did fail. I do agree with that. Say some questions, something off guard. Mike had to leave the studio for a minute, so judge not lest thee be judged. Amen to that. Failure is not an option. Man, you guys have given me a bunch to think about, and you guys too. The whole, the whole Pence thing, the latest Q about RBG. I'm gonna have to read up onto that. So I gained a lot today, and then that's the whole point. Is hopefully, every day you're trying to learn or get better. At least that's what my old man always said. Don't forsake me today. Trump has momentum. I think he does too. Praying daily. I'm politically correct. I voted for Trump. Is Pence a good guy or a bad guy? We've talked about that long enough. I'm saying he's good. That doesn't mean you have to believe he's good. But I kind of need to see some proof. Here's one. Dude, my generation, I'm 6 years old, and the World War II generation, oh man, it went too fast. We're obviously up against a different type of generation. I'm confused by it. I'm brokenhearted, but my elders have always said sooner or later everybody will, at some point, maybe they're growing up a little slower now, so maybe today's 30 is World War II generation's 18. I don't like that answer, but maybe because we're coddling and whatnot, maybe it takes a little bit longer for them to get launched, get out in the work world, have children. I know my opinions are completely different than, well, not completely, but a lot different than they were when I was 17, 18 years old, because once you have kids and a mortgage and you're married, I mean,
Yeah. No, I agree with that statement. Here, how about this? Players. Let's just look real quick. Players
in the game.
No, this isn't. See how it says Patriot? It gives us
White Hatters.
traitor, pawn,
Yeah.
flipped, freed. Patriot, Sean Hannity. All right, so hold on, let me bring this up for the people.
I love Sean Hannity.
Now, this is just, again, folks, this is just from the QMAP pub. It's not golden. It's the best research. Let me see. Mike Pence. The Trump Pence. All right, it's the Trump Pence, folks.
Patriot.
Look at that. All right, so from the QMAP itself, Mike Pence is an American politician and lawyer serving as the 48th vice. So we do get Patriot off the collective thought.
Well, by God, because I seen on the internet, I'm going to say he's good.
Still,
cool.
even
That's
though the
cool.
QMAP says that, and
you know me, I just play devil's advocate.
Yes,
I'm supporting
exactly.
the guy regardless. Not regardless. I
not
didn't mean
regardless,
regardless.
if
Up
pure
until now.
hardcore fact comes out of something,
You did good. I'm not sure on what. That jury's still out.
she's been around a long time.
Yeah.
Rand Patterson. God bless you. You've been here. I've seen your name for a long time. Susan Willard. I think she's the one that called in. Pence is a Patriot, she puts. Thank you for calling in, by the way. I know it didn't last long. It was kind of getting glitchy, but we appreciate it.
Effort. Just takes a little bit of effort. Another 48 years of HRC, we would have been done. I agree. I really... he had to win. I think history's going to show that he had to, and he was going to.
Hold on. Okay, so is that Q saying Pence is a Patriot? No. Again, folks, that site, the QMAP, that's just set up by some, I would assume, patriot around the country that is a website that grabs the Q posts when they drop on the 8chan. So that is not a Q endorsed outside comms. And we know that that's not true. It's just the collective thought of the movement, okay? That's the collective thought of the movement, I believe, the way they got things set up on there. I'll take you guys back there real quick again to show you.
Appreciate it, Ram. I did. It's always tough when you get sprung. I'm going to leave the room for a minute. We tried to. This is my compliments to our subscribers and our listeners. It makes it easier to go live when you can bounce some ideas off y'all.
So, other than looking at Q posts here, we're allowed to go to, executive orders, right? It looks like it's down. If I hit, are we on executive orders? Follow the pin. So these are all the executive orders in order. 20th of December. Chunk put in that. We could look at them all real easy here. All in order. All right, I'm going back up.
Hey, that's a good site.
The human trafficking going around.
Did you ever think that you would see and this isn't a presidential website by any means, but did you ever think that you would see a time in our lives where human trafficking is, and this is probably why it doesn't get much traction with the non-believers or the conspiratist bashers.
Well,
It's such a scary, nasty situation. Yeah. People don't want to believe it, so instead of actually looking into it, that's right.
It's been that way.
It scares them too much.
So check this out. What look at this. Read the last one. Look at the date.
December 18th, 2018.
This individual's
Flores,
name.
Sentenced to over 21 years in federal prison for online incitement of a minor.
Arrested 1, rescued 0. So let's just go down a little bit.
Holy smokes, look at that one. 15 rescued.
Look at this one here. Yeah. Where? Right here. Do it. Read that one real quick.
So this
13th of December.
This was, U.S. Attorney announces charges against 19 defendants for the sex trafficking of minor girls and young women in New York State's child welfare system. 18 were indicted, 18
arrested.
were arrested, 15 were 15
rescued.
Then you got 12 rescued.
Look at all the dates over here, by the way. We're just in December still.
Yeah. And
This
this
is
is not a record that I never thought would be broken or even wanted to put on a pedestal as a trophy that you want to carry. But more indictments towards trafficking children and sex trafficking have come down in the last 2 years than I think the last 25 combined federal cases.
Yes.
So right, wrong, or indifferent, this regime or this administration is pushing hard against the trafficking, and it's not getting enough light, and it drives me crazy that it's not, which should scare the hell out of you of all the major editors and producers and owners of these media outputs are not showing it. So why are they not showing it? This is a big win, and I don't want to make it a win, but this is great news. This is things that should be brought to the forefront. Why aren't they showing it? Because they're tied to it.
Yeah. There you go. See? They're part of an arm of it. So this, again, folks, I don't know if all of these names are correct. It tells you, AJ right here, trader, pawn. Why was he able to operate for 25 years successfully? And then right before Q comes out for 6 months, and then we're getting banned everywhere. And then quickly they ban him because he needed, well, you got to ban me first. Otherwise I got no credibility.
But how many of us Patriots got tied to him? So if they could discredit him, then it's easily to say, oh, what are you, one of them Alex Jones guys?
Well, and no. It had to be, I'm not saying he wasn't right, folks, or you're wrong all these years for watching him. I'm still not saying, you could be watching him today. Listen to everything, believe nothing until you can prove it. He did a lot of waking up. I'm not going to disagree. A good lie is 90% truth. So there was a lot of truth. I mean, when the news comes out and they're like, there was a bomb dropped in Russia and it killed 4,500 people. Most likely a bomb did drop in Russia. 4,500 people did die.
Or more.
It's when they say they did it over here.
Right.
It's most likely somebody on the other end of the spectrum.
He who points the finger first is usually guilty.
Yes. So that's all we're trying to do.
It's all smoke and mirrors, Don't look behind the curtain. 313, so we're
313 back in the room. This is awesome, folks. You guys have been, let me get the comments back up here. So Scott can take a few more of these. Just keep going.
Apparently, L left the room. Sorry that we didn't get to say
Bye, L.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling in. Amy's in the room. Hello, Amy. Amy sent the book.
Hey, thank you, Amy. That is one of the best gifts. Nice, and the scarf. So I just read something. Colleges supported sons of continuous relatives. That kind of brings up, and I don't know how long we can talk about it, nor do I really want to yet because I wasn't prepared to talk about it. But one thing that's been driving me crazy lately, and I've been hearing more and more about it with family and friends sending their kids to school, colleges and high schools in general going so far liberal anymore. A dear friend of mine just told me the other day that she, in fact, got a really bad grade on her one of her exams because her political science professor, was liberal. She wrote a conservative paper. In my opinion, it was written good enough to get at least a B. I don't know what the professor was asking for per se, but because she disagreed with it, she failed her. They're promoting. That might be a topic one of these shows that we'll do one of these days. I don't know if you can pay attention or look into, but keep an open ear and eye out to state-controlled, state-influenced, liberal influences. We see it a lot on the West Coast of how our children are being raised, what things they're not seeing anymore. My kids are not taking some of the same classes or learning some of the same things I did when I was in school. And a lot of it revolves around patriotism.
Yes.
Some of the teachings just aren't there, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, they missed this in the World War II thesis or whatnot, or the Civil War. They talk about it roughly. I mean, hell, they're going around taking statues down that never offended anybody forever, and now all of a sudden these things are offending people that are dead.
That's what I'm saying, folks. Real quick, read that Scott or Christopher Olson.
Christopher Olson.
He's one of our mods. What's up, buddy?
Let me see if I'm reading this right. If we is a traitor, then he was used to wake people up.
I think he's talking about Alex Jones. He might have misspelled. If he was a traitor, then he was used. So possible, right? So this is what they say about, I've gotten in an argument, but a discussion with somebody that Edward Snowden was a patriot. He disclosed all this stuff. He if you watch the movie that was made by really good guy, by the way, he's made tons of movies.
I'm not good with Hollywood, man.
But Oliver Stone. He made the JFK movie, Oliver Stone. So yeah. Oliver Stone made the Snowden movie. Very good Hollywood budget. It shows this patriot guy that got into the service, got hurt, got picked up by the CIA, and was doing all these great things, a genius on computers, and then he was a patriot, and he's like, this ain't right, and he left. That story is great. If you only listen to that story, he is a patriot. Now, what Q's told us is he worked for the CIA. CIA was at war with the NSA over information. NSA is closer to the military. The CIA was fighting for control of information. They wanted to have the guy. So they created a bunch of noise at the NSA, released a bunch of things that were true. So while they're over here in smoke and mirrors, pleading to the public and talking to the news about, oh, this is bad, but they're over here able to operate still. So that's what happened. And if that's the truth, then, and possibly Snowden was used. They probably, again, they're like, hey, we're going to have you go work over at this company, release a bunch of stuff, and then the media is going to turn on you, the country's going to turn on you, and your life's going to be ruined, but that's what we need to happen. Okay, where do I sign up? They probably lied to him to go over there. And
my personal opinion, I was told it was great, this one anyway, not all of them. Anybody that's in the news for an X amount of time, for a long period of time, has knowledge or information that is near and dear to somebody. So anybody that has been in the news coverage for that long a period of time is ultimately going to be discredited and or was a pawn to begin with. You know,
right.
A shooting in California is on TV for 5 minutes, right? But Pence is now going to be on TV. Comey was on TV and in the media in our face. It's all subject for, if they're on there for so long, they're all subject to, how the hell do I get myself out of this situation and recover? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they've been plugged in our brains and our minds for so long. This guy's a good guy. This guy. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if the old late night show ends up being somebody horrible and nasty, but nobody would believe it because for 20 some years or whatever, he brought joy and love into our lives and our living rooms.
Think about that.
I'm not a sheep. If you're in my face every day, you have an end game.
You have a reason.
Fred Rogers had an end game.
What about so then, like for like 9/11 or any catastrophe, Oklahoma, we can go back that far. When something happens, we all would imagine that this building or normal operating procedures that day, the government's not there unless it's a government building. And then the media is not there because something has to happen for either the government to get there and start looking at it, and then the media's got to get called like, hey, there's a bomb that went off. So you have the people that were there that witnessed it, that were part of it, and then you have the media that comes after the fact, and supposedly the government comes after the fact unless they planned it and know all about it. So I like to listen to the people that are survivors of, I heard 2 bombs go off. And then you have the media like, oh, they're confused. Yeah. There's only 1 bomb that went off.
Can't
or
find
the government narrative.
Can't find that person ever again to put it on TV again.
That's what sucks, folks. So listen to the people that were there firstly and foremost.
I was there, remember, when the hurricane came ashore, I was standing in water up to my waist. Brian Williams. Was it Brian? Am I saying that?
Yeah. Brian Williams is a tarmac.
But trust me. Well, people trusted him a long enough time. You know, he was a head anchor.
What is it like? Doesn't the media come on the scene after something's gone down, like 9/11, and start talking to all the people? Now, I get you can get a collective thought from a lot of people, but you shouldn't be telling them like, no, you're. What we heard from the other guy was it was just 1 bomb, and
nowadays it seems like they're there before something happens to set a narrative. This is what we need.
We're here live. The building just fell behind us as it starts falling,
and we're pretty sure. Oh, look at that! There was an ID right there that survived.
Yes.
12
a government agent found that, by the way.
Yeah, 12 plastic IDs were found in the rubble, but bodies disintegrated and steel melted. But look right here, it must be Bin Laden.
He took his cigarette lighter and kind of roughed up the edges a little bit. Look at this. It's burned a little bit, but folks, I managed to put it out before it burned completely.
Well, you talked about it the one time after the second one, like 17 minutes later, one of them anchors was like, we now have breaking news that this was done by Muslim terrorists from the Middle East. Wow.
Yes.
You still don't know who killed JFK, but you're telling me within minutes, you're
Yes.
telling me who just killed all these New Yorkers? Come
I just
on.
showed that one probably a week ago, rehashed it to show everyone how it works. And they had that guy, hey, folks, we're here live. We got a Fox News contributor. And he comes on and they call it the guy in the Harley shirt. And he's like, oh, hey, folks, I saw it from start to finish. Listen to me.
Yeah.
And
In
there's
planning.
yes.
In planning. Narrative.
This plane came out of nowhere, hit, and then the other side of it shot out the other side of the building, by the way.
Yeah.
And then both buildings fell due to mostly structural fire. And
He's
it's like, whoa!
like he's a damn engineer. Like
He set out the narrative for the next 2
Yeah.
years on that story.
the guy they grabbed off the street in a torn up Harley Davidson shirt happened to
witnessed
be
it all.
a engineer from MIT at the right place, right time to set a perfect narrative.
Yes, folks. It's
Oh, it's great. It's kind of like the new movie, and I'm going to go watch it. I was told it was actually pretty good, but I know I made a little plug on it a little bit ago. But you think that this movie, Vice, about Dick Cheney, was created in Hollywood to portray Bush, but W, in a good light?
yeah.
I mean, come on, everybody's going to go watch that movie. And if those that don't pay attention to today's affairs, or, I don't think any of our listeners, a lot of the younger generation are going to watch that and go, man, was Bush stupid?
Yes.
Because Hollywood is trying to. So, don't. Just I guess the lesson for today, and y'all have heard it, don't believe everything you see and hear.
Yes.
I'd like to think most of our watchers, including ourselves, are at an age or at least a moral upbringing that we'll wait to make our opinion until we've done our own personal research.
Is Ellie back or Tammy's just
I
talking to
don't
her? Ellie, I should be ran by.
It's kind of like the joke that we heard a while back. If Trump himself, got caught walking on water, they'd say, "Oh, he can't swim."
Yeah. No.
There he was, pulling in the hurricane into Florida. Just anyway. How can you put Bush in a good light? I'm not saying he is in a good light. That's my whole point. But what's going to happen when Trump's his time is done? History won't lie. Hopefully, enough of us are alive in 30 years so we can look back and say history says it doesn't lie that he was a good man. But what if they come out with a movie, and I bet you the one big slob from the East Coast, Michael whatever Moore, I bet he will probably try to write a movie, and if 1 million people watch it, oh man. And most movies are fictional, some of it based on truth, whatever. But what if they portray Trump to be evil? Not any different than what the media is doing now. It will capture a big enough audience. You're not going to win all the time. That's politics. You're not going to make everybody happy. And I played stupid very professionally.
That movie, did you happen to see the one that I just talked about? He made the one about Snowden. What was his name? He made the JFK movie. Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
Did you see the one he made? It was called W.
No.
Oh, it came out probably 4 or 5 years ago. It's got Josh Brolin, the oldest brother from the Goonies, the guy that played No Country for Old Men.
Yep.
Where he's got that weird device. I don't know what it is. That one guy's going around shooting it's like an air compressor. Like he puts like a bolt in there or something.
Is that what they
No
killed?
Country Old Men.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin's got the cowboy hat
Yeah.
on. He finds all that money. And then that guy is going around looking for him the whole movie, like to get the money back. And it's got a tracker in the money. But anyway, Josh Brolin played W, the oldest brother from the Goonies.
Yeah.
But all they do is, I guess, Oliver Stone doesn't like Bush whatsoever. So
Weird.
he portrayed him really horrible in the movie. Of course, like he'd zoom in on his mouth a lot. And it showed Bush a lot getting sandwiches, like at the White House when he was in there. Like they'd bring a big silver thing with the lid, he'd take the lid off and just be a sandwich and chips because that's what he liked,
Sure.
Oh, I'd have a sandwich. And then he'd take a bite of the sandwich, and then the camera, Oliver Stone would zoom in a lot on Josh Brolin's mouth, like showing him how he's
Just depict him
eating
as
a kind of an ignorant hillbilly.
I bet he was down to
Ignorant
earth.
hillbilly.
In one of his books that I was reading, some of the White House staff actually said he was actually an easy guy to be around. He was, I'm not saying, was he a lawyer by any means? No, but you're not going to convince me that I need lawyers anymore running my country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying Bush was a great man. I'm not saying he was a devil worshiper. I'm not saying anything other than I bet I would have more fun hanging out with W than I would, I don't know. Just go back through all of them. Clinton, I probably would just hate hanging out with him.
I love sandwiches.
Yeah. I see you have a ham sandwich. I'd like ham sandwich too.
It all
Anyway.
started when I was 5 years old. I kicked my grandma down the steps, and I blamed it on the dog.
And here's a fun question. It's always just like what would happen if you won $1 million? What would you do? This is on that type of scenario. But if today's media and technology was around forever, how many of our presidents would actually be in good light? You know what I mean? So I always hate the comparison. Well, he's no JFK. Actually, if you listen to some of Trump's speeches and some of his plans, he's very JFK-esque. He's kind of a mixture of Reagan and JFK, in my opinion. But I'm sure a lot of them did a lot of things that...
Well, I put it this way, folks. If all this is coming out to be true and everything I've learned, everything I've known in the past to get to here, and then the new things I have learned in the last few years... is it a organized mafia? We know how we've seen the movies and how they painted the mafia, and they're just small fractions in a city like New York, and they got a family and they run it well, and they get paid and they do. Is the government just that much bigger? The people that are actually into play, the majority, we're talking like 60 to 70% of DC has been blackmailed, involved in. Do they all know every single level above them? Probably not. A lot of compartmentalization to keep them. They just know they've been blackmailed and they have to sign this thing over here, and they don't quite know why. But once they did that, now they've committed things. And
let me ask you this, Cooper. I'm going to bring up a Cooper plug here. He made the joke, and it wasn't even a joke, he was dead serious. Why are we all stupid enough to elect a bunch of officials to go to a District of Columbia, which is really not part of the
represent us? That's a foreign country to your state.
It truly is.
Yes.
It is not a state. What are they doing hanging out? The Capitol building should actually be somewhere in the country, but they're in a group, and this is what's funny about the media, and I truly believe this. Even the politicians I support, and they're all this is a club. You know, they sit on live TV and bash each other, right? Campaign against each other.
They got to make it
look good. And then a year later, you catch them at a White House dinner or a press conference or a press secretary whatever dinner, and they're chummy and elbow. But we all, a year prior, because the TV put it in front of our, they hate each other.
It's the illusion.
Yeah. Trump and Cruz hated each other's guts. I'm not sure that was the case. It was just a game. It was a fight. But it's really funny that we all fall victim. And I've done it, and I still do it too much. That's a special club. You think when Pelosi and Schumer and Trump were sitting in the White House the other day, and Trump's in the middle of them, and they start arguing a little bit over the wall. He knew that those two were going to be on live TV with him. He didn't care, and they knew they were going to be in the room with him. They didn't care. Is it really just a game, and we all just that stupid to it?
Ugh.
I don't know.
Well, you think, folks. It's I think it's definitely been a game all this time. I don't know if because Trump surprised both of them by having it live. By the way, he invited the press at the last minute. They thought they were coming there to have a private, and he's like, "Oh no, I invited the press. You guys have a problem with that? I don't." Transparency.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to be behind closed doors.
Schumer spent a lot of time, if you look
That's what
back,
they kept
he
saying.
spent a lot of time looking down.
Yes. I can't believe this guy did this to us. Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, and with a smile, no, I disagree. I didn't say that. And Trump's like, no, you did. You did say that, or you are saying this. No, I didn't. Look me in the eye. He couldn't do it. He couldn't look at the camera and lie. He just kept looking at the floor.
This is the end of it, folks.
Yeah.
Well, not the end of it, but he... Yeah,
he's a mastermind, dude.
If he is part of the system, like some people like to claim, no, the New World Order thing that I've all studied is the same. Trump's part of it too. You don't know that. You don't see it. And I'm like, I see something totally different happening here. This system, normally, yes, there's a guise going on with both people, but normally when the one guy wins, it just is business as usual. And the media might have a little bit of a stink, but man, this is different. This is the system against Trump still, so I don't see how it plays into the...
Pelosi and Schumer are treating this presidency like their sandbox.
Yes.
We didn't invite you.
Yes.
We're just putting up with you. And if you can't see that, your eyes are not open. They literally are. Schumer has denied, argued, and then you go back in time and see, because of the great technology that we have, he's argued and fought for some of the same thing Trump. But now that Trump's doing it, they're not going to give him any credit. They don't want him looking good, and here's why. And it's obvious. Why? because they don't want him winning the next election. But I promise you, if somehow they
Minimize
find
everything good he can really do.
instead of going along for what's good, and they all have done this. And this is what I don't understand about people in this country that argue with me or with whatever Trump is doing. The people that you voted for said we need to build the wall, we need to protect this, we need to do this for veterans. They do the same thing. No way, shape, and form is Pelosi and Schumer going to give at all over the next 2 years. They're going to paint Trump as a villain and shut it down. It's going to be Trump's shutdown. And what Trump say? No, it's going to be your shutdown.
Yeah.
Right? They can't have him be elected again. And all it is because it's their sandbox. It ain't Trump's sandbox. He's an outsider. He doesn't belong. So as soon as they can discredit him some more, maybe they got a chance. And when they don't, it'll just be 4 more years of their party and all their followers still saying, we like Trump, or we like Pelosi and Schumer. It drives me crazy. It just absolutely, if you can't see what is actually going on, I'll be shocked if anything gets done. And there's a lot going on here. Trump is setting up for another level.
Take a few more questions. We're at the 57-minute mark on this video, and I've been recording this one too, so we'll go a few more minutes. Scott, take a few more questions or answers from the people. Lisa says executed. I'm not going to use those words. My good old boy attitude would agree with you, but you're not going to catch me saying that. But they don't like to play in the sandbox with others? Nope. It's obvious. What's your take on Rand Paul? Lots of good in that man. Again, I'm a Trump supporter. If I haven't said that, hopefully it's been obvious enough. But Bernie's the one that got screwed the most, in my opinion. I think Bernie would have done more for this country than Schumer and Pelosi. I didn't want him as a president, but they don't need. See, that's what's funny about it too, is they're not even talking about how it was in the news for a minute, but they couldn't keep it in the news. HRC lied, cheated, and stole the Democratic nomination. We all know that. Democrats even know that. They spent 0 time talking about it, and Bernie never spoke up. Did they get to him and say, now shut up? You'll have your chance when you're 98 on your deathbed. He could have kept his group of people that agreed with him. See,
JFK
if he just
Jr.
came out.
Vice President, I'm sorry, I don't want to lose you as a subscriber, but JFK Jr. is dead, and that seems to be the biggest conspiracy right now. I love the idea of Camelot and JFK. I love it. He was a great guy. But if he's not dead, they'll make sure he is dead.
Maybe.
Bernie, I agree, Albert. I do agree. I didn't want him as president. When I'm just playing devil's advocate, if I was a Democrat, I would want to be hosting a show talking about how Bernie got hosed by my own party. He should have been the nominee, and I guarantee, I really feel in the bottom of my gut, he would have won the election.
People are asking for your channel.
I don't have a channel yet. Mike's going to help me with that.
He's got he is a moderator. If he posts from his phone right now, he'd come up. You can post.
I'm actually Legacy.
It's Legacy
Solutions. I'll do that right now.
He doesn't post anything, not yet, folks, but it is easy. Already on his phone, he can hit the record button, turn the camera on himself, and start recording and having content if that's what he desired.
Here we go, see if we see this pop up. The only reason is because my first company I started was me. It should be popping up. I don't know.
Hold on,
there's a little bit of a lag.
There's a little delay. It's 20 seconds or so.
It just there it is. This is Scott, Legacy Manufacturing Solutions. When I first started YouTube or whatever, just following it back when I was traveling a lot, I just needed a handle. So
hit this up on your.
I see it. And this is Scott, but it was just something easy, and now I wished I could change it.
Accept that on your phone.
I thought I was a.
Me too. No, you are on the Patriot Hour.
Oh, but not in the tech.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I got you.
I don't know how to accept that right now. I'm not.
Go to post again, or did it ask anything? Nothing.
Chat, post, me. There we go. Now it's blue. So that might have been confusing to some of you. Some of our.
There it is. Yeah. Legacy Manufacturing Solutions.
Just the name of my first company is all. I was Bernie or bust. Joe, I don't blame you. I thought it could have been Bernie and Paul, but is it Rand? Rand's dad is.
Was it?
Rand Paul and I think Rand's the older one. There's father son. I know the father he was too wild in his early beginnings, and now probably makes his son unelectable. I think we got a knock at the door or something. Did Q intentionally DDoS the foreign nates? I know Way Bernie would have won. He's a socialist. He could not have won. No way out this country would vote for a socialist. However, the majority would vote against him, I'm sure. I'd like to think that, but again, I was just playing devil's advocate. If any of the Democrats should be really upset, instead of being mad at Trump, you should have been mad at your own party. It's fact. So I don't understand why they're still trying to beat up Trump. Oh, I can't believe he's our president. Well, get over it. He is your president, and if you guys would have done a better job, you probably could have beat him, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I don't like Bernie, but I think he could have won. Anyway, I'm about ready for another garage talk.
Yep, we're going to shut this one down. We are over the hour mark. I just recorded this. Folks, I got like 2 or 3 good episodes to put over the Patriot Hour as well. What we covered today, it feels like we've been going all day long. I know it hasn't been, but it's been awesome. We are going to shut this down. Let Scott have the last word here. I'm going to say God bless you all. Godspeed, and we'll see you back here real soon. I'll do something later on the Patriot Hour. Look forward to all these episodes coming for those that didn't get to see them. But Scott, you got the mic.
It's a new year. I didn't expect to be put on the spot like this. A new year, same beliefs, not changing, not moving, not going anywhere. Just keep on doing what we're doing. I'm very humbled again. I'm going to use the word thank you, the phrase thank you. I appreciate it. I know Mike appreciates it. I'm taken aback. I'm humbled, caught off guard with this, so I'm just going to ramble for just a second longer. Didn't expect to be where we're at today. Sure, I'm glad we are. All of your outreach, all your comments, we're not alone. So a new year, same plan, same goal. God bless, and pray for your president. We're going to need all the help we can get.